What's up, guys? Today we're going to look at the SSL 4KB channel strip. This is the second part of my channel strip series, so make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell for more channel strip breakdowns. This video continues with our channel strip series. If you want to check out more, there is a playlist. I'll link it down below. Today we're going to look at SSL's 4KB channel strip. So we're going to use a track from my God Machina. The vocals haven't been done yet, but the drums and the guitars and the bass, all the instrumental stuff has been recorded so far. As you can see here, there is nothing on the actual channels itself. There's no processing apart from the bass there. I've literally done that just to draw the bass out a bit more. Also, I've done some processing, some group bus processing here. That's purely for you guys so you could hear it better, just to give a bit more clarity to each individual element. The song sounds a bit like this. Okay, that gives you a little bit of a flavor for the song itself. Now, the 4KB is a precursor to the 4KE. This console came out in 1976 and featured a Jensen JE115KE preamp that delivered non-linear harmonic character to the signal. And that's where we're going to start with this plugin. It looks a wee bit like this. We're going to start right here in the center of the channel strip, going from side to side. Starting here on the left-hand side of the center, we have an input meter. This is VU here, and this one here is RMS, and the same on the other side, but this is the output, which obviously we haven't done anything yet, so this is going to be exactly the same. Starting at the top, this is the preamp section. We have a trim in, so we can trim stuff back if we want. It goes all the way down to 20, or we can bump it up to 19.6 by the looks of it. We can invert the phase if we need to with this button here. This is the preamp. What you need to do is activate the preamp. If you want to add your saturation, bump it up. So that's adding some saturation. This is how it sounds without it. This is it bypassed. And we'll bring it in. It's making that, it's pushing that forward, making it a bit more direct. I like that. That's what I want from my bass, especially a song like this where it's actually, the bass is actually driving this song. So that's what I'm aiming for. Moving on to the output section, which is this kind of bottom 2/3, I suppose, of this plugin. We have width, so we can add, this is extreme, but add some width. We'll make it more narrow this way. We can pan, if you want to do any sort of hard panning, like so. We have a cut, so you can mute it like that. Side chain, you can listen to the side chain there. We're not running any side chain at the moment. Output trim, you can obviously whack it all the way down like so. And if you want to trim anything back, you can do that there. Or if you want to just cut it completely, you can bring that down to nothing. Okay. So that's the output section. Moving on to the left-hand side of this channel strip, we have the EQ module. Now, it starts with, at the top here, the filters, and then you have a 4-band EQ beneath it. Low pass has a cutoff from 35 kilohertz all the way down to 3 kilohertz. High pass has a cutoff from 10 hertz all the way up to 350 hertz. And they sound a little bit like this. Let's start with high pass. Okay, and then you can so that in itself is making this a bit more of a direct sound. Now, the reason that I'm not doing this in context is so that you can hear the individual elements of each of these modules and each of these bands of EQs. Obviously, I wouldn't usually mix like this, but I want to give you guys exactly how this channel strip sounds in context of the individual element or the individual instrument rather than what it is the broader mix. That's a different video. Moving on from there, just below the filters, we have the 4-band EQ. We'll start with the high frequencies. That runs from 1.5K up to 16K and is shelved unless you hit the bell button here, which obviously turns that curve into a bell curve as opposed to a shelf. Sounds a bit like this. So I'm kind of looking for the actual kind of fret noise of that, I suppose. This is what it sounds like as a shelf. And this is how it sounds as a bell curve. I think I'll keep that as a shelf for now. So moving on from there, we have the high mid frequencies, which is a bell filter with a variable Q. We have a boost of plus or minus 15 dB, and the band itself runs from 600 hertz up to 7 kilohertz. It sounds a wee bit like this. Broaden that out a bit so that it's a bit more musical. That's it. That's nice. Moving on from there, the third band is the low mid frequencies. Again, we have 15 plus, 15 minus of gain. Again, it's a bell curve with a variable Q range. This band runs from 200 hertz up to 2.5 kilohertz. Sounds a wee bit like this. Might try and take some of the box out of that. A bit more pointed. Like that, sounds pretty good. Last band, the fourth band is your low frequencies. Again, this is a shelf with an option to bell if you hit the bell button, plus or minus 15 dB on there, and it runs from 40 hertz to 400 hertz. Sounds a bit like this. So this is it shelved. And this is it with a bell curve. I prefer the bell curve. It brings out that low end better on there. Like it. We also have the EQ in and out button right here. So far, this is pretty standard SSL, but this is where it gets a little bit different. Things change when we come to the right-hand side of this channel strip, which is the dynamic side. At the very top here, we have compressor mix, which is kind of obvious. It's for parallel compressions. The compressor on the 4000B is similar to SSL's mix bus compressor. And it's also the reason why I'm using it for bass guitar, because people were thinking, why are you using it on bass guitar? It's because of these compressors. These types of compressors are very good on bass guitars. This compressor has 3 fixed ratios. You have 2:1, 4:1, 10:1, and then you can put it in what's called DS mode. I'll get into DS mode in a minute. The knob is stepped to each ratio point, and DS is fixed at a ratio of 10:1 with an additional sidechain filter. DS means de-esser, and I'll come back to that in a second. The threshold runs from 10 dB up to -20. We have fixed release times of, with auto, 1.6, 0.8, 0.4, 0.2, and then DS again. Now, you may have noticed there's no attack settings. That's because the attack time is based on the amount of signal going into the compressor, which gives you a more glue type of compression as opposed to the punchy type of compression that you get from the 4KE. If you're looking for a faster attack time, you can set the ratio and the release to DS. The attack and the release are connected to the de-esser, which will give you around about 2 milliseconds of attack time. In any of the other modes, the attack time can be as slow as 30 milliseconds, depending on how much signal is coming into the compressor. The release time becomes variable between 30 and 50 milliseconds. Let's dial in some compression, shall we? There's that. Obviously, it gave quite a lot of volume. Whether you want that or not, I don't know. But let's try it on the DS settings and see how that works out. So this is a bit extreme, but I just wanted to show you how different the compressor works when it's in these different sort of settings. It's much quicker than it was before. So straight away, this is a much more musical compressor, but you got to remember, it slams really hard. Okay, so let's go back to how we. then I'd be tempted to just pull this back. And trim it down a bit. Like so. So, probably come down a little bit more just to gain stage that through a bit. So this is it without, and this is it with. Sounding pretty solid, great. Just beneath the compressor here, obviously we have the in and out button that we were just using, but we also have 2 meters here. The orange meter here on the left is for the compressor, it's your compression, your gain reduction, and the green here on the right hand side is your gate attenuation, which leads us on nicely to the gate and expander. The knobs of the gate and expander are quite typical for SSL. You've got a range, you've got a threshold and a release. What's slightly different is that the release is stepped and it runs from 0.1 seconds, 0.2, 0.4, 0.8, and then 1.6 seconds. Let's dial this in, shall we? So like that, that's it, gated. Obviously, if we want to expand, then we have to hit the EXP button right here. Let's just dial that in for you. Have it somewhere around there. We can bring that up. Okay. So what if now we try the DS mode on the compressor now that we've set the gate? Bring that in a bit more. Okay, that sounds pretty cool to me. I like it. Moving on from there. Bottom right hand corner, we have routing and side chain element of this channel strip. What you can do is you can route each module. Right now, the signal's coming in, it's hitting the EQ first, and then it's going to the filters, and then it's going to the dynamics. And it sounds like this. So what we can do is we can move. So now the signal is hitting the filters and then going into the EQ and going into the dynamics. If we wanted, we could move the dynamics to So it's hitting the filters, going to the dynamics, and now it's hitting the EQ. Or we can go dynamics, so the signal's hitting the dynamics first, and then it's hitting the EQ, and then it's hitting the filters. Or you can go filters, dynamics, and then EQ. In this instance, I can't really hear a huge difference between moving them around. It might be different in context of the mix, that sort of thing, but in this instance, it's not making a big difference. So I tend to have it just set to filters, EQ, either filters, EQ, dynamics, or as it comes loaded up, EQ, filters, dynamics. The other element of this is you could do an external sidechain, which you'd have to hit the EXT on here. So what we can do is, let's do an external sidechain. Let's do a little bit of parallel compressing from the kick. So at the moment it's currently ducking it out on the gate itself. I think that's because we've got this set to DS mode. Let's put this up so you can really see it. So you can see here where that is hitting the compressor. I've pulled the DS out because it was affecting it. Like so. The other thing you can do is pop your EQ in there as well. Make that a little less extreme. Let's take the dynamics out of it. I would have it set up something a bit like that, and I might bring in probably wouldn't gate that because that seems to be So you can use that as and how you like to do it. So if you want to just hear what's coming into the side chain, you can either hit this button here, which is your side chain listen, or this little speaker symbol here. Both the same button, do the same thing. A little bit difficult to see because it's a very busy kick in general. Lots of double pedal on there. And that is essentially the whole of this channel strip. It's the SSL 4KB, and I like it because of its unique compressor on there. It's very good, I think, on bass guitars in particular. If you enjoyed this video, you should check out my deep dive into the SSL 4KE channel strip. It's right here.